Today I'm going to show you how to make moussaka. I have friends that they have asked me to make this recipe online so they can learn how to do it. It's a favorite and they would like to make it at home. I try to make things more healthy. So I'm going to show you my way of making moussaka, which is going to end up delicious and nutritious and much less fat absorbing moussaka. We'll start with the ingredients. What I use is eggplants, zucchinis, potatoes, and some tomatoes to make it a little bit more juicy. Now the eggplants, there are so many different kinds out there. So mostly I use the black ones that we all are familiar with. But when I see those, I cannot resist buying those because they are so sweet and they almost have no seeds inside. They are just totally delicious. So I chose to use those for today and I'll show you how to cut them and prepare them for our moussaka. This is a dish that you can prepare in advance. You can cut your vegetables, make things ready for you at the day of your event or people coming over. It's something that you can have done before and bake it at the day of need. So each slice is about a centimeter, or a little less than half an inch. Zucchinis, I do the same. I cut the edges and I slice into the same kind of slices. The same I do with the potatoes. Now those I already prepared for the sake of reducing the time of the video. So now that I cut my vegetables, what I'm gonna do, I will drizzle them with some olive oil on both sides. The zucchini, the potatoes, the eggplants, and I will roast them in an oven or in a air fryer. Try to use the same vegetable in the pan that you're doing, because potatoes take a little longer than eggplants, for instance, or zucchinis. Pop them into the preheated air fryer or oven. You can roast them also in the oven. Now when I do that, as soon as they soften and they take a slightly little tiny bit of color, we will achieve this point, which I already have done here. And those are ready to be layered. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the sauce. Now for the sauce, I'm going to be using about 800 grams of ground beef. I have it lean here. I have other things that are going to make the sauce rich and flavorful other than the fat. So in a pot, I'm heating it. I will just brown the meat first. And make sure that So when you put it and you just cut through it like that, let it sit until it crisps a little bit, it browns, and then start flipping and breaking it apart. So it is more, it tastes more like sauteed in butter or oil. So this is one thing that I would like to share with you. See how it caramelized over here? So that's what we need to achieve. Break the meat a little bit. Now that the meat has browned, I'm going to start layering the flavors. So for the meat, I will add a little bit of salt, a pinch of salt in the beginning. This is not all the salt that it's going to take. I will put also some black pepper, about half a teaspoon. Add a touch of cinnamon, barely, about 1/8 of a teaspoon or so, just a touch. We push the meat to the walls of the pot, and in that hole I will add 2 medium onions that I have previously chopped. We will also salt the onion and just mix it with that meat sauce in the middle. until it gets translucent. A heaping tablespoon of tomato paste. Press the tomato paste with the onions and the meat, making sure that it goes all around. So as soon as I had the tomatoes distributed evenly into the meat and the onions, I added also the chopped garlic and mixed. And now you can hear the sizzling of the pot. And for that, I'm gonna use my favorite ingredient. And who can guess what that is? Yes, you guessed it, shot of cognac. It's gonna add so much flavor into this. So I add that and I let the meat soak it. And at this point I will add the tomatoes, diced tomatoes. You can use also fresh tomatoes if you have them. Give it a mix. Add salt, 2 bay leaves, and I like to cut them so they can release their oils and flavors. Forgot to tell you about the secret ingredient also. It's the carrot. The carrot has some certain sweetness into it that it balances the acidity of the dish. Now mix it in. Okay, add a little bit of water, about a cup. I add it. As soon as it boils, we're gonna cover it and let it cook for about half an hour, and then the sauce is ready. Now for the next step of this dish is to make the bechamel. It's the sauce that covers the moussaka and makes it so creamy and so delicious. What I have here is half a cup of flour, which in a dry pot, I'm gonna be just toasting just enough for it to start changing its color. Make sure that you mix very often because you don't want it to brown or burn. You will smell it as soon as it starts toasting, and that is when you take the next step. So into this I will add about 2 tablespoons of butter, and to keep the bechamel from curdling, I will also add just a little bit, about 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now let it mix, and if you feel that there is not enough butter, add a little bit more butter. The texture of the flour here needs to be all one texture. The second trick is to start very slowly, adding the milk very slowly and mixing the flour into the milk. And this is gonna take about 1 liter of milk almost. So lower the heat and add the milk in a very slow stream. Mix the flour into the little milk that you added, and then add a little more. If I am to put all the milk at once, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve a smooth sauce, a smooth pasticcio sauce. At this point, I will add the rest of the milk in much bigger portions, about 3 cups of milk in. We mix until it comes to a boil. Then I will sense the thickness of the sauce, and then I'll decide if I need a little bit extra milk or not. And that's when I also add my salt, pepper, And the great complement ingredient to bechamel is also nutmeg. Some nutmeg will take the bechamel to another level. See how it's bubbling now? That's what you want to achieve. At this point, you turn it off. You don't add the egg at this point because it's very, very hot and the egg can cook before it mixes. So I normally wait for like few minutes, 3-4 minutes, and then I add one egg at a time, mixing rapidly until it all gets absorbed inside. So those are the couple eggs that we have added. Mix them really well, and this sauce is ready to be used. Okay, so this is the dish I'm gonna be baking my moussaka in. And into this, I will add some grated Romano or Kefalograviera if you have. That will be option, ideal, but if you don't, Romano cheese will do the job. That's at the bottom. And now we start layering with the most hearty vegetable of the ones that I'm using, which is the potato. So potato is at the bottom of the dish. Just lay them down, one near the other. On top of that, I will layer the zucchini. On top of that, we will add one layer of the eggplant, and the rest of the eggplants, we're gonna put them on top of the sauce after we put the sauce on. I will put few tomatoes. It doesn't have to be covering everything. A little bit of Romano on each tomato. I will start with just a touch of that bechamel because I like it to be within the layers as well. Now I'll put most of this meat on top. It smells so good. Okay, this is sufficient. Eggplant. You can use also your hands, there's nothing. Okay. And you put it in a preheated oven of 350 degrees. Whatever leftover cheese, I'm gonna just sprinkle it on top. Here is our moussaka. But we will have to wait at 10-15 minutes before we start cutting it. And you will see what we have. Now it's easier to cut and get a clean slice. Let's try it. It's a melting pot of delicious ingredients that got married together into this perfect moussaka. Try it, and I'm sure you're gonna love it.